mean, I've heard stories of people that have gone over there that say if there's a cricket within 5 miles of the border, they can detect it, things like that.
Yeah. They've been like that since the 70s. My mom served in IDF, and their security is tight, as it should be, if they're looking at protecting themselves, right? But yeah, it's hard for me. And again, there could be a great explanation, just like the 9/11 thing, like we need to discuss it. And that way, that's the problem, is that when you start discussing these things and people start suppressing that conversation, that just leads people to go off the deep end, where if they just told the truth, or if there is a truth to be told, it would quell all that stuff. Like imagine, for example, Las Vegas hotel shooting. Remember Las Vegas shooting?
Oh, yeah. Black hole out of the memory hole on that one.
So no, Alan and I know, I'm not going to say how we know, that pretty much the information given is pretty accurate. And I'm not going to say how we know, but because they're being so weird about it, everybody's like, nah, there was multiple gunmen. It was contrived, this, that, and the third, when in reality, it's probably way simpler. But when the government tries to suppress things, when they start suppressing voices like they did, look, they're mad that people are vaccine skeptic now when they did what they did. Of course, so back before, like my kids got all the vaccines willy-nilly, didn't even question it, didn't even look what the hell was in them. Now it's like, wait, hold on. I need to rethink everything because I don't trust anybody. Right. So when they start suppressing things, that's when people start coming up with theories that gain traction.
Well, I mean, didn't Laura Loomer do some reporting on this? I mean, what do you think about her reporting on it?
What did she report?
Well, I think that she was reporting that it had to do with a hit potentially on Mohammed bin Salman, that there was some sort of a strike team, black helicopters, and maybe I'm just confusing this and mishmashing and putting it all together. I mean, this is one of the things that I've never really gotten to the bottom of. They have that map. It's like the Las Vegas shooting map. And you can go and see every documented piece of security footage and 911 call. And it's like, you'll see like on the map, the Mandalay Bay area. And then all the way up the strip, you'll see that there were phone calls about shootings in other hotels that were going on at the same time that we never really heard about. And you can hear the 911 calls. There are other things about like black helicopters, silent helicopters, that had been sighted or seen floating near the Mandalay Bay area. What's interesting is I think it was the top 4 floors of the Mandalay Bay is actually the Four Seasons Hotel, and that was owned, I believe, by the Saudi royal family. And there is video footage that I saw of Mohammed bin Salman in Las Vegas at that time being escorted through the hotels. And so I think that there is more to that story. I mean, I think that it's possible that, Stephen Paddock was in on something, but man, now there is a big black hole. And of course the people that were in charge at that time, I believe he was the head of the police department in Las Vegas, who is now the governor of the state. So if there was anything covered up, he's now in charge of the entire state. So there is some big questions about Las Vegas. Tremendous questions.
I'm looking up right now because I remember there was a crackdown that when Mohammed bin Salman took power, he cracked down on all kinds of Wahhabi imams that had been pushing violence. People forget that there was all this terrorism and violence in the United States before Trump won in 2016. It was all over the place. There was an attack in New York, an attack in Chicago, attack in Fort Lauderdale, all these terrorism attacks. And then Trump did whatever deal he did with Mohammed bin Salman. And then all these people got wrapped up in Saudi Arabia and the terrorism largely went away. So I looked up to see when these things happened. And Mohammed bin Salman crowned in June 2017, the Las Vegas shooting 2017. So I don't know if it was a backlash to the arrests and all that. But there does seem to
terrorism in Las Vegas. What about the Cybertruck bombing? That thing,
oh my God,
nuked from the news. Haven't heard a thing about it since it happened.
You're right.
You're right. What are you talking about? I've never even heard of it.
Oh my goodness! Like
in Las Vegas,
it was like 2 days before Trump was inaugurated. Some Cybertruck pulls up in front of the Trump Hotel and explodes.
Oh, I remember this. Yes, I remember.
Well, it did show the safety of the Cybertruck is exceptional.
True.
I mean, I would be running ads with that shit. I'd be like, if I were Elon, I'd be like, dude, you can't even blow up a hotel with this shit. Like,
by the way, we promised Dave we're gonna rip on Ben Shapiro, which he rightly deserves. But I just want to say I actually agree with Dave on the idea that the IDF or Netanyahu, that there was insider things happening. There's no way those paragliders came into the country and they had no idea. They knew, and there were some documents that came out recently that Qatar has been funding Hamas, and that Israel knows, and they allow it to happen. They want that to be the opposition in Gaza,
conflict
so
is money.
that they can push back very strong with the military. So,
well, if I can float an idea, we were discussing this on last night's episode. If I'm remembering correctly, it's all a blur anymore. I've just been going nonstop. I just had like a 2.5-hour meeting. Now I'm here. If I could posit a hypothesis here, right after actually Benjamin Netanyahu came back into power, I believe in 2021, a investigation into corruption on his part was begun by, I believe, both the Shin Bet and the Attorney General's office, and it also touched on the Israeli Supreme Court as well. And from what I understand, he is facing up to 10 years in prison for the charges of corruption that have been alleged in Israel by both Shin Bet and the Attorney General. And so is it possible that Netanyahu arranged, orchestrated, or just told the people to stand down to start this fight in an effort to hold on to what political power he still has left in that country, as opposed to going through the trial, being found guilty, and then, being thrown in jail? He has a very big interest in not going to jail. And clearly, war is one of the best ways to get people to stop looking at him and to, be in fear, living in fear, and, not so concerned with the personal corruption of their prime minister, especially if, there's this looming threat of like a bombs or nukes being dropped on them by some hostile Arab actors. So I kind of think that that's what it's about. I think that this is like a last ditch stand for Netanyahu to hold on to power. And, it's costing lives. The what do they call them? The Hayalim, right? The fighters on the front lines. I mean, they're dying. They're being killed. And I think that, people in Israel should rightly be looking at Benjamin Netanyahu like, hey, guy, what are you doing? Do you care about our people? Do you care about the Jewish state? I mean, like the way that they've responded after this too has in fact created a lot of like anti-Semitism around the world. And I'm even wondering if from time to time I look at this and it's like you see this like really lowbrow stuff, and it's like you almost wonder, is this being promoted on purpose? Because I think if the numbers are, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think something in the order of 700,000 people have emigrated from Israel and gone back off either to America, Ukraine, all around the world. And so is this being done in America? Are these kind of like lowbrow voices of anti-Semitism being promoted in order to kind of like spurn Jewish people that live here to make Aliyah and to kind of go and bolster the failing state over there? Frankly, it's an interesting question, and one that I don't know the answer to that, but it is interesting.
The ADL has a long history of intentionally promoting anti-Semitism in order to drive up donations to the ADL.
That's so terrible.
As far as a long-term plan with Netanyahu has a long history of anytime he's in trouble politically, some conflict just happens to spark off, and then he's suddenly in better waters politically. So I have no doubt that that's what happened. I hope that he is investigated and prosecuted for letting all of those deaths occur.
Base